Two of the rarest sneakers out there in hand. You'll be getting them for free at the very end of this video after we've talked about this sneaker today, because this sneaker's got a lot going on in it. You've clicked on this because you know that we're looking at the Nike Lebron 17 Graffiti, but that has a tie-up to a very rare sneaker that we'll talk about later, and also the fours. But instead of talking about the Graffiti fours, which everybody out there is probably talking about, let's talk about these, the Fruity Pebble fours. And the reason I want to talk about those is because you can see the shape of the shoe and you can see how that's coming out in these Graffiti 17s. But the reason I'm using that Fruity Pebbles is because at the end of this video you can actually see them in hand for 2 minutes. So I'll be sticking an extra 2 minutes on the end of this video with those Fruity Pebble 4s in hand. And on top of that, that other shoe. This video is titled The Other Lebron Sneaker That Inspires the Graffiti 17s, because there's another one, a rarer one, phenomenally rare sneaker, and again it'll be in hand at the very end of this video. So first, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the shoe and talk about the inspiration that's out there to create the shoe, and then we'll have a look at the details on the shoe, and then right at the end of all of that I'll chuck in a couple of presents for you guys. 2 minutes with the Fruity Pebbles and 2 minutes with one of the rarest shoes in the world. But without further ado, let's just get into this video, which is about the Nike Lebron 17 Graffiti. This is the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel, Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel days. Mainichi upsuring all day, Mainichi meeting design. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And if you're excited about this shoe and about seeing the Fruity Pebble 4s at the end and about that super rare shoe as well, you should be, because it's amazing. Go ahead and share this video with anyone you know about, because you're getting 3 for 1 in it. The 17 Graffitis are going to be awesome, but those other 2 shoes coming at the end of this video as well are absolutely epic. So for sure, this is one of those videos you need to be sharing out there wide and far. But without further ado, let's get into this and do what I said we're going to do. 2-part video. Part 1 is talking about the inspiration. What 2 previous LeBron shoes were there that have inspired these Graffiti 17s? And then part 2, looking at the details on the Graffiti 17s before those 2 extra videos at the end. So without further ado, the 2 shoes. Here's the Fruity Pebble 4s. And the reason I'm using them, like I said, instead of using the Graffiti ones, is because you'll see these in hand in the video at the end of this video. But you need to know what the 4 looks like, the structure of the 4, so you can understand how it's coming through to the 17s. So what I'll do is I'll do that thing I do where I flip between 2 shoes, so you can see the lateral side of the Fruity Pebbles and then the lateral side of the 17 Graffitis. And you'll be able to see by going between those 2 pictures behind me here, that midsole section that's really distinctive on the 4s and clearly brought through onto these 17s. It's semi sort of compartmentalized maybe sections throughout the length of the sneaker, big large sections as well. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the 81s from the Kobe Bryant line, and that just the way it comes up there, those big chunky sections on there. In the Fruity Pebble 4s you can see that colourful sort of colourway going on there, and then on the 17s you can see it's turned into that graffiti, which is a really distinctive New York story. There's a whole New York tie-up, a New York narrative to that graffiti line that's come out on quite a few of the LeBron 17s, particularly those 4s. But the rarer sneaker that's inspired these 17s isn't the Graffiti 4s, it's the Graffiti 8s, and there's not that many people out there that even know that the Graffiti 8s exist. I'm not kidding. This is a shoe that people just don't know it exists. The LeBron 8s tend to be under the radar because that was the season when there was a whole lockdown. Most of the season was gone. They played pickup games and charity matches, but they couldn't enter official NBA buildings and facilities, so they had to use college gyms and things like that. So this particular shoe, these Graffiti 8s, were only worn like 1 time by LeBron himself, never made it even into friends and family. So, you know, this is a one-off, a prototype, and it never got anywhere near production. And I'm lucky enough to know the guy who owns them, and at the end of this video you can see that 2 minutes where he shares that video with us. So they're the 2 massive shoes that are coming at the end of the video. The Fruity Pebble 4s, which gives you the structure of these 17 Graffitis, and then the Graffiti 8s, which is like a mythical shoe that most people don't know about as being one of the inspirations behind these Graffiti 17s. But of course the Graffiti 4s are the main inspiration. But if you don't know about those Graffiti 8s, definitely stick around and check out those 2 minutes at the end where you get to see them in hand. So part 2 of this video, I said, was me looking at the actual Graffiti 17s and the details on there. We've already talked about how that midsole comes up in those sections from the front to the back of the sneaker, and that's where the graffiti detailing is. But there's more to this shoe than just that. Personally, I'm 44 years old. I was born in 1976, so I'm kind of a child of the 80s, if you know what I mean, growing up in the 80s, even though I wasn't born in the 80s. Red, grey, silver, white, black, those colours are super 80s. So when I see a shoe like this, I think 80s all over. It's just, you know, it's like my childhood. It's you know, we used to have like quilts and stuff on our beds at home in these kind of colors, you know, that kind of color block and stuff. So it's a super kind of 80s vibe to it. So I'm already sold on this shoe. I absolutely love this colorway. But more than that, if you go zooming in on that strap up there around the ankle, you can see that the quality of the materials they've used on it is absolutely premium. That's a beautiful looking strap on there. The materials look buttery, if nothing else. And then right in the middle of it, you've got that clasp in the metal class that holds it all together. That adds just even another level of quality. But you know what? I like my premium sneakers to be sleek. I like them to be subtle. I like them to be kind of smooth rather than in your face and like brash. That's my style. So I dig this. And I like it. If you look at the tongues there, they've really toned down the line on there. And they've really said, you know what? We're going to let the sneaker do the talking, and we're not going to have to push the branding or push the details on there. And I love it when they do that on a sneaker. And they've done it really well here. It's because it's subtle that it pops so much, and that really is on that ankle strap and that tongue there. Coming down a little bit, let's have a look at that upper, because it is that beautiful 17 upper that is encased within that mud guards that are coming up the midsole out of the fours there. And I love the 17 highs. I'm fairly critical of the 17 lows. It really takes a special 17 low for me to like it. And I think maybe, did I say I liked the LeBron 17 low LeBron James, which originally I think was going to be called the Olympic sneaker, but they had to change that because the Olympics were postponed. I think I liked that, but then in other ones, for example, the infrareds, I didn't like those, and I was panned for that. Or was it breads they were called? I can't remember if they were infrareds or breads, but anyway, that shoe right there, I didn't like it, and people said I didn't know what I was talking about. My opinion, definitely know what I'm talking about. But going back to these guys here, that 17 upper, I love it. I absolutely love the 17. I think it's an iconic sneaker. I think, you know, the LeBron line was kind of, you know, just chugging along for a few years there, but then when the 17s came out, totally changed the direction of sneakers in general and the LeBron line as a whole. And it's that upper that's a real key feature on there. And I think this shoe would have been enough on its own without the graffiti sort of design on there, and without that 4 midsole mudguard sort of stuff coming up out of the bottom half of the shoe. I think they could have just done the colorway as is, and it would have done really, really well. But still, there are some really cool features. And staying on that ankle strap up there, at the end of it, I noticed that there were 4 circular grey sort of dots, and I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. But then I was like, is it grey or is it silver? So I zoomed in on them, and I was zooming on them back here, and I was like, oh, there's lettering on there. And the lettering says it's the 4 letters, and it's KHLN, I think. It's really hard to see all 4 letters at once in the pictures that we have. Or it could be the other way around, NLHK. I'm not sure. What I definitely am sure about is that I don't know what it stands for at all. And if you do know what it stands for, please tell me in the comments down below. But it's a cool little design feature, again, with that grey, black, red, white sort of motif going on up there. And then you get around to the other side towards the ankle where you've got that swoosh on there in silver, which is a beautiful little touch. And again, it gives me that 80s vibe, and I'm really, really digging this shoe. The last thing I really want to do, you know, I want to do 2 things. I want to look at the back of these shoes, but I'm going to go to the outsole first because the back is really unique, and I really need to talk about that in a little bit more detail. But we'll go to the outsole first, because the outsole of the 17 highs is one of my favorite things. It looks like a skin or something. It's a beautiful outsole, totally makes a shoe. And on these guys here, I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying it's a really vibrant red outsole, but then in the center of it, you've got that different color. It might be gray, I can't remember. But it really is a beautiful outsole on the 17 highs, and I really dig it on these guys. Really sets off the shoe really nicely. But then we get to the back of the shoe, and it's 2 really important features. And again, it's a bit like those dots up there, because I didn't realize what they said something on them. I had to really zoom in to kind of get those letters on them. And it's the same with these 2 sort of vertical spikes that come up out of the back of the shoe. Now, I haven't seen these spikes on any of the other 17s I've looked at, and I've looked at tons. I would say at least 17. But you know, sometimes it takes me ages to realize something, and maybe these spikes have been on there. I don't think they have. But in the case of these guys, if you zoom in, you can see it's actually got words written on them, and I think it's believe on the left and witness on the right, or the other way around. But believe and witness, which is really cool. I love it when LeBron James puts in a bit of sort of, you know, moral into his shoes. You know, there's a moral to the story, if you like. So I really dig that little motif on the back. I dig those 4 dots and those vertical lines on the back that actually have a message in them that's really hard to see, which is kind of ironic on a graffiti sneaker, because graffiti is really easy to see. It's meant to be. That's its point. So all in all, though, panning back out, looking at the whole sneaker, beautiful sneaker, great colorway, love it, all tied together really, really nicely. The 4s on there aren't too much. You know, you're still buying a 17, but you've got that 4 detailing on there, so it's not too overbearing. But for me, great colorway, great shoe, and great to be able to talk to you guys about it today. And great to be able to leave you with these next 2 videos that I'm going to do. So I'm just going to do what I do at the end of every video, and then we'll jump into those 2 videos. So we'll have the Fruity Pebble 4s first in hand for 2 minutes, and then we'll jump to the Graffiti 8s again in hand for 2 minutes. 2 of the rarest sneakers out there, and it's a privilege to bring them to you guys today and let you see them. So without further ado, I'll jump away, we'll put those videos on, and then it'll finish this video in total. So the last thing I'll do today before those videos is tell you that I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.
Guys, so if you picked the LeBron James 4 Fruity Pebbles, you'd be absolutely right. This is an ultra rare sneaker that Nike released in a super limited run. As you can see here, it says family size. This was a friends and family version sneaker that was released by Nike, and again, just super limited. I think LeBron wore this once in 2006 against the Atlanta Hawks. I'm not sure, but when I was searching and trying to get all the LeBron grails up until the LeBron 14s, this was definitely one of the hardest shoes to get. This is a size 16. As you can see, it is a game worn, probably by LeBron or me. I'm not sure which one, but yeah, super limited. LeBron's favorite cereal growing up was the Fruity Pebbles, hence all of the colorways here. They talk about this being sort of like a foam posit kind of throwback style. Very heavy shoe, as you can see on the sole here. Some pretty cool colorways or color coordinations, so pretty neat. I'll open up inside here for you guys to take a look at underneath the strap. I think there's the lion. Yeah, there's the LeBron James lion. And again, that Fruity Pebble look throughout, design throughout. Again, I think it says family size here, and then family size here on the back as well. So yeah, super limited. Again, very difficult for me to find. I think that some of these go upwards of like $5,000 now. I was lucky to have been able to acquire this shoe. So I'll get Doug to put up some pictures of LeBron wearing this in the game. I think it was a Hardwood Classic game that he wore it in. And I believe, I could be totally wrong, but I believe he only wore it once that year. But again, I could be totally wrong, but Doug will throw up some pictures. So if you picked the Fruity Pebble 4, you'd be absolutely right. Congratulations.
Bet you didn't see this coming. As far as I know, I'm the only person in the world that has this shoe. I'm just going to give you guys a chance to take a look at it because it is flippin' sensational. Oh. Does not need words. No words required. Wow. Super lucky to have this pair of shoes in my collection. So this is the LeBron Graffiti, LeBron 8 Graffiti. This was actually only there was only a picture of this released with LeBron wearing them in a pickup game of basketball with a bunch of other NBA players, and of course the sneaker world went crazy over it. Then the season was postponed and delayed, and a lot of the sneakers never released that they were talking about releasing, this being one of them. So this became a sample colorway that has sat quietly in my collection for many years, and I'm now unearthing it again for the buttermovement community to feast their eyes upon. So if by some chance you chose the Graffiti 8, thumbs up to you. You must be an OG Butter member. And if you didn't, well, there you go. It's not a myth. It's not a rumor. It's not a legend. It's right there, right in front of you. Tokyo Butter channel. Sign up. This is the type of stuff we're going to give you. Thumbs up, subscribe, comment. See you next week.